Hello.
Oh, hello.
And welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie. And today we're super happy to have you here with us for part 3 of 3 for our year-end rankings.
The final installment.
I will say, I'm really excited and a little bit nervous about this one because in our final episode, we're actually going to be touching on all of the series that Alex and I both read this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to have to come to an agreement on how to rate all of these for you.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a little more discussion, a little longer of an episode than maybe the previous two, so buckle in.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a wild ride, but we're starting out on a great note. So, the first series we'll be discussing today is Bloody Sweet. This is one that Alex and I have both been a fan of for a very long time at this point. It is a story that follows Shin Naerem. She is essentially the daughter of a Mudong, so she's basically the daughter of a shaman, and she's basically destined to step into those footsteps eventually. And it's kind of something that everybody at the school bullies her for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's just kind of a weirdo. Everyone thinks she's linked to all these spirits, etc. And so she gets bullied. And on a school trip, they essentially take her to like this haunted house where they kind of convince her to open up this creepy closet that was kind of blocked off by all of these different seals. And out falls a vampire because, you know, that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, the vampire licks her wound because he's just like completely overtaken by the taste of blood, the smell of blood, etc. And basically a red string links the two together and it forms a master-servant bond between the two of them.
Mm-hmm.
So this vampire, Vlad Fedeshu, is now basically at her beck and call and her command. And it is such a cute story.
It is so cute. I think we might agree on this one.
I think we're going to agree.
We both love this story. It's got the red string of fate that we both love, and the main characters both. I adore both of the main characters.
I will say, there's so much growth for the characters in this story. They are both so relatable as well. I mean, obviously, the things that they're going through, we're not going to relate with a vampire, but they do put the situations that he's been through in like a very emotional state to the point that you do feel for him as well.
And it has a good resolution at the end with plenty of time for us to have our fluff at the end. We love the fluff.
We love the fluff. So, on the count of 3, what would we rank this series?
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
S. Perfect.
Starting off easy. This next one, I think we may disagree. So this is Countdown to Love. This is a recently ended series, and this is about Hoon and Haydem. And basically, it starts off with Hoon, and you see him, he's got an injury from basketball, and he's really just kind of down because this injury means that he can't play basketball anymore, and he loves basketball. It's like his favorite thing to be a part of the team and to be a star of the basketball team. So he doesn't get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And at the same time that this happens, he sees a countdown clock in the sky. He's like, what is that? That's crazy. And he thinks it's a countdown to the end of his life until he discovers that another student, Haydem, can also see the countdown clock, the same exact one. And they're trying to like kind of figure out what's going on together. And they start like getting close because of this. I love this story. I really do. The only problem that I have with it is it just felt way too rushed at the end for me. This is one that we started reading. We saw this one in the upcoming series, said, oh, this looks really cute. Started reading it at the very beginning and read all the way week to week. And the ending felt too short for me. I think it's only 22 episodes.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think it's under 25 at least. I will say, like, I do remember when it was coming across on the weekly releases, and I was surprised that it was over already.
Yeah.
But I have gone back and reread it recently, and it really does feel like a cathartic enough ending for me that I think I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like, ultimately, it is just such a cute story, and I do love the characters. So, I don't know if we'll agree on it, but I think we should try. So, on the count of 3,
okay,
what tier would you rate this?
All right, 1, 2, 3. B?
A. God damn it.
All right, well, we have to agree. So
We do.
I don't know. The reason that I'm going B is because of the ending only. And the color palette is just perfect. This is one that we recommended for fall. I think I could convince myself that this is an A.
It's a really good series. I will say, if you reread the ending, I know that, like, we probably wish there was so much left to it.
Yeah.
It really does, like, close up all of the ends. So, like, I think it ties itself up pretty well.
All right. I'll go with an A then.
Yes. Awesome. So, moving on forward through the list, the next one we'd like to talk about is Devil Number 4. This is one that I believe I've mentioned at least once or twice here on the podcast.
Yes.
But I could talk about it forever and ever. This is a series about Hannah. She is essentially just a girl who kind of has no desires in life other than to just make it through. Like, she's really struggling. She lives in a broken down apartment. Like, her entire life is in disarray. She's just trying to be able to afford her college classes. And everything just kind of seems to be going wrong. And while all of this happens, this devil shows up and says, I can give you whatever you wish for. Essentially preying on her. It is such a cute story. And I love every single character. This one does have a lot of different side characters, but I love, and I'm invested in all of them. Even still to this day. I love that it's just kind of like Satan's corporate ladder meets like a guy who's like, what is my own purpose? What is my own mission? And he's like kind of changed by the fact that this human doesn't have really anything she desires other than to like survive. So I love this series.
I know. And this one is a really, really good series. And it's a foundational one for both of us. This is one that got both of us into reading webcomics. So again, I think we're probably going to agree on this one.
Okay, ready?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, S. Easy.
Man, this is going better than I thought it would, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think it's going to get harder.
Yeah, I think it is. So the next one on our list is Flowers Find a Way to Bloom. So this one I think is a little bit more of a complex story. And actually, Annie, you described the intro of this story to me when you started reading it, and then I started reading it after. And I think that helped me kind of get a better understanding at the beginning.
Yeah, because I had to reread it.
Yeah.
Like a time or two. I don't know. Maybe my brain was just not processing things, but it was hard for me to grasp at the beginning.
So this one is about Yoon, and he is kind of a broken person. Like, he just is weak from being like from an illness. He is, like mentally not super healthy, and he is struggling, and he gets into a fight with Mo-ran. And after he gets into this fight with Mo-ran, he realizes that he has become Mo-ran and like as a child, and grows up as Mo-ran and uses this time to learn. He learns to love, basically, from having a healthy relationship with his mother that he never had before, from having a teacher who teaches him medicine. And so he's basically like just a much healthier, happier person as Mo-ran. But he knows, because he sees Yoon, he's still interacting with Yoon. Like, basically he's gone back in time. And so he goes and he interacts with Yoon still. He knows that the day is coming when he's going to get pushed out of Mo-ran's body and go back to being Yoon. And that day does come. And so basically from there, he has to kind of figure out, like, Mo-ran is not happy about this when they switch back originally. And so he's trying to figure out, like, what's going on and why, like, where was Mo-ran for all of this time? And I mean, it's a lot more complex than that. I would say this one for me, I liked it at the beginning when I was binging it. Once it got to week, I got a little confused, and I think that they added in some side characters who, one, were only there for a couple of episodes, and then really didn't make much sense.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's that they didn't make much sense as much as it was they like didn't last long and they didn't contribute much to the story while they were in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's just kind of like, I don't know. There were side characters that I loved. I loved Yoon's brothers, both of them. I thought were good side characters.
They were great. There was an alien?
There was an alien.
Yep.
Why?
It felt very random.
The alien came out of nowhere, and he also left very immediately and never came back.
You never really find anything out about it.
I couldn't tell you what happened to the alien. They might have told us in the story. I can't remember.
Yeah. I will say, there are a lot of like really cute moments in this one.
There are.
But I agree with you. It just wasn't something that I like was able to continuously follow all of the time. Mm-hmm. So I think maybe we're on the same page with this one.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll give it a go.
1, 2, 3,
C.
Woo! Okay, this might be easier than we thought.
I know, we are on a roll. All right, so next we are talking about Heart Rate Presto. Mm-hmm. This is a story that, to be honest, I wasn't super gripped by in the beginning. And I kind of was left feeling similarly towards the end as well. There were some moments in the middle that like really got me. And I thought like, this is a really cute series. It's about Roman. He kind of has his own trauma from being attacked on stage while he's working as like a professional chef on a show. And he just kind of is like working through all of that trauma and finds out that there's this specific artist's music that calms him down. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to track down like these lost records from this artist because he's like in desperate need and like he's like desperately holding on to these records because they helped to keep him calm. And when he goes to the record store, somebody who was like right in front of him bought the last record. So as he like tracks this person down and is like trying to get this record, he finds out that the person who took the record is the artist himself, mm-hmm. who is trying to bury the fact that they've ever created this music. It does turn out that Yuri, who is the artist, has his own trauma from being attacked on stage and from having a traumatic event there while he's trying to essentially perform his piano recital. And it's essentially just about the two of them learning how to work through their traumas together and form that relationship in a positive direction moving forward. I think it's cute. There are like a lot of cute moments, but it's not one that really kept me gripped. I know that I like fell behind for a couple of weeks and I couldn't really tell you why. I think just personal preference, it wasn't my favorite. Mm-hmm.
Also, the art seems like it wasn't your style too.
It wasn't. The lines were a lot harsher.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think it fit the story somewhat. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't also my favorite. I think maybe it just didn't grip me. Mm-hmm.
So. It's also like pretty short too.
Yeah, I would say so. Like what, 50 episodes?
Oh, less than that.
Yeah. I mean,
I think way less than that.
Probably. Who knows?
Who's to say?
It's the end of the year. It's been a long one.
Yeah.
But anyways, I mean, it was a good story. I don't think I would go back to read it again, but
I liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I probably won't read it again. So we'll see. All right.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. B. Okay. Now, the reason that I'm giving it a B and not a C, which I was on the verge, B or C.
I was too.
But the reason that I'm giving it a B is because of Yuri. There's like a scene towards the end where I can't even remember what his name is.
It's like Norman.
Norman, yeah. The lawyer is like trying to mess up Yuri's and Roman's relationship. And Yuri kind of stands up for himself and says like, you can't get in the way of me and Roman. Like, you can try if you want, but you will not be successful. And I just like the strength that he showed. I think it was like good character growth for him. And also not something you see a lot from like a main love interest.
Yeah, it is true. A lot of times like you do have that conflict of like you're wavering in your feelings. And he really did stand his ground of like, no, Roman and I are together. And it's really just a testament of how much they grew together. Mm-hmm. I would agree. Like, I liked it. I don't think I'll go back to read it again, but it was a solid, like, good story.
Yeah. All right, so the next one on our list is Love of Cloud and Rain. This one is about Jung, who is a veterinarian, and he finds a sick lizard, Prince Wu, and he takes this lizard in and discovers that this little sick lizard is actually not a lizard, but he is the Dragon King's son. And he needs to help the Woonwoo find his inverted scale, which is going to let him become a full-fledged dragon. This one, I love this series. We've talked about this one before. We don't need to go too much in depth on this one, but I think we both love this one.
It is a very good story.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the characters are wonderful. It makes you laugh out loud. I will say, I think this is also the first webcomic that ever made me cry. Like, cry.
Yeah.
Because it was not pretty. Like,
Yeah.
we're not talking like a couple of little tears falling onto my cheeks. Like, I was like needing to put the phone down to collect myself crying.
Yeah. Me too.
So I do love this story. We have talked about it before, so it probably surprises nobody, but we'll go ahead and rate it and see if we're on the same page.
All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3. A.
S. Ooh.
Okay, so I'll explain because I think I'm on the verge of S and A.
Mm-hmm.
This one for me, the reason that I'm going with A is because of the side story at the end. The side story I thought was a little too much. I didn't really like the side story.
Is it because they have kids?
Not specifically because they have kids. Maybe it's because they have kids. I don't know.
I know sometimes that's a thing for people where they're just like, ugh, and then they lived happily ever after and they had a bunch of babies and stuff like that. And I mean, that is the fluff that you get at the end. Spoilers, unfortunately. But okay, I'll go with A for you. Just because I know that that's not like everybody's cup of tea. I did love it though. Like, it is one that genuinely pulls out my emotions.
Yeah.
Pulls on my heartstrings.
I mean, honestly, I love it. I think I would have rated it an S if it had ended without the side stories. But I mean, the main characters, I do just adore. And you're right, it did make me cry.
I know, it just made me feel all of the feelings.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's fine. It's just an A tier, apparently. No, I'm just
Okay,
kidding.
I could be convinced. Should we change it to S?
No, it's okay. I won't guilt you into it. I understand. I mean, if it's not one, I mean, like, no story is perfect, but I did love it a lot.
Yeah.
So highly recommend. And yeah, I don't think that the side story added much to the main story. So I'll side with you on that one.
Okay.
But yes. All right.
You're siding with me even though I wasn't going to side with myself.
You're questioning yourself. It's fine. All right. So our next series is another one that we have talked about before. It is Miss You, Lucifer. This is a really quick read. And honestly, I did love it. I felt like there was a lot of story that happened for only like 20 something episodes. But it is essentially a story that revolves around Lucifer. He is a member of a group called the Sweet Devils. They are like a not good, like what, D-list kind of group.
Yeah, like their concerts are at the malls and people don't go and listen to them.
Yeah, etc. But essentially, he ends up getting the opportunity to meet the famous Kwon Kang. And as he's like talking to himself, he's just like, I wonder what it would be like to like sleep with him. Wouldn't that be crazy? And Kwon overhears him and goes, okay. And so they do meet up and they end up sleeping together. And it just kind of is a story about how not everything is how it seems. Kwon turns out to be Lucifer's biggest fan, like has all of the merchandise for the Sweet Devils, has like seen all of his shows, etc.
And he has like a social media account, the Miss You Lucifer social media account.
Yes. And he is the like main person running all of this in the background. I love that this story is essentially just about how even if you can't be your own biggest fan, somebody else can be. And I love the dynamic. I think it's great to have this super hyper famous person just being down to earth enough that they're just like, I'm your biggest fan because I love you specifically. You don't have to be famous.
Yeah.
And I love that. I think it's so cute.
It is a really, really cute story. And I will say this one relies a lot on miscommunication, which is not my personal favorite trope, but it's done really well for this series. And since it's a short series, like it's not just dragging on and on with like the same miscommunication over and over again. So I also really loved this one.
All right. Well, let's see what we thought.
All right. 1, 2, 3, A.
Woo!
Okay, so
I don't know. I'm going for a perfect score now. Maybe we
perfect
can
score?
just like agree with all of them.
I mean, it's getting close. I think we might. There are some down here as I'm
getting
looking
down
at
to
the
the
list.
wire though.
Yeah, we'll see. We've got a lot on the list still.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so the next one we have on our list is Makran. This one is about Makran.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea.
So she grew up as a part of a sheltered tribe. She's very reserved. It's like her people are reserved. And the neighboring island comes to visit unannounced. They are considered to be barbarians. And so Makran's tribe does not want them to come and is like very nervous about them being there. And the tribe leader's son, Ianyang, he falls in love with Makran at first sight and is like, you are going to be my bride. And so the story kind of goes from there, and it's really cute. It's basically just about how there's a lot of miscommunication in this one as well, because Ianyang's tribe is kind of misunderstood. They're believed to be barbarians, but they're really not. They're actually a very sweet people. They're just very loud. And I mean, we don't relate to that at all.
That is the biggest lie I've ever heard. I loved this story. I kind of related very much to the barbaric tribe because I am a very loud person. And so I know that other people who are quieter, that can come off as extremely intimidating and scary. So I thought it was very funny to like see how Makran's tribe kind of perceived everything that they were doing, where they're like, oh my gosh, they're looming over us. And it's just that they're tall.
Yeah.
And like Ianyang doesn't realize that like deciding he wants to marry Makran and like carrying her over his shoulder
like
isn't like graceful.
In his mind, he's just excited. He's like, look, Mom, at my new bride. And
He's holding her like a doll.
and her tribe is thinking that he's kidnapping her.
Yeah. But I will say, like, Ianyang is such an adorable golden retriever character. I love him so much. And honestly, like, I think he makes the story.
He really does. And it is a good story, but this is another one where the ending felt really abrupt.
It felt abrupt, and there was something weird and kinky happening towards the end that, like,
That came out of nowhere.
Didn't match the vibes, which, like, hey, Makran, you can do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah.
Like, you go, girl. But also, what? It's just, I don't know. I mean, ultimately, I loved reading this one.
It was cute.
It was very cute. But there were a couple moments.
There were. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3. B.
Woo!
We are so good at this.
We're so good at thinking the exact same way. It's crazy.
Who would have thought?
I know. All right. So moving forward, I'm going to be talking about one of my favorite ones. Moonrise by the Cliff is an incredible story. It's on Manta. It starts out as a story about Samwell, who is a girl just living in a really small village. She's just trying to make ends meet. She's taking care of her father, who's suffering from severe dementia. And essentially, like, she's just his caretaker now. Mm-hmm. And so he was supposed to be tasked with the job of working as a guard, standing outside of this house where an exiled ex-emperor is going to be staying. And so she's standing there as best she can. She's not very intimidating.
Adorable.
She's quite petite. She's a petite little girl. And then all of a sudden, she kind of just sees this exiled emperor coming through and staying in the house. And, you know, his progression is slow. He starts out like depressed. He doesn't leave that house. But slowly he comes over and sparks some conversation, asks her if she'll buy him some wine, and he'll give her the coins for it. And she does. And eventually, like, they just start talking with each other and getting to know each other, finding out they're similar in age, finding out, like, everything about each other's lives, and essentially falling in love with each other. And she essentially just has a hard time understanding how he's possibly accused of doing all these awful things, because he seems like an incredibly wonderful person who she essentially has fallen head over heels for. It is such a good story. I loved it from start to finish. I've read it multiple times, and I have not a single thing I would change.
Yeah. As you were describing this, as it came up, I was thinking, this is the first one that made me cry, actually. Even before Love of Cloud and Rain.
I was close. I was close to crying, but I didn't. Maybe I was more soulless back then.
I cried at the part with her dad. That is just such a sad moment.
Yeah, there are a few different sad moments. And I mean, yeah, it's a very emotional one.
Yeah.
It definitely rips at the heartstrings.
I definitely think we're going to have the same answer for this one.
We probably will. Ready?
Okay, 1, 2, 3, S.
It is such a good story. If you have not read it already, please don't even hesitate. You don't even have to listen to the rest of the episode. You can just go read it right now.
Just pause the episode, read the story, and then come back to us.
You know, that works too, I guess.
Because the next one is also really good.
That is true. You can't miss this one.
So, Painter of the Night. We have just recently talked about Painter of the Night, so we won't go into too much depth. But this is about Seung-ho and Nakyum. And Seung-ho is taken by Nakyum's paintings and just really wants him to be his personal painter. And so he ends up kidnapping Nakyum.
Yeah, because you like his paintings.
Because, you had to.
No other way.
And they end up falling in love through a very long story. It is just recently completed, and I adore this story. The art is phenomenal. The characters are beautiful. There is so much growth for both of the main characters. The side characters really make sense in this one, I think. This is another one that I wouldn't change anything.
I don't think I would change a single thing. Honestly, well, there's maybe one character I would have killed sooner, but that's just because I didn't like him.
Yeah.
It does a really good job of making you really feel a lot of the trauma that a lot of the characters have gone through. Mm-hmm. I will say, I said it in the last one, trigger warnings all over the place for this story. But if you can get past a lot of just the abusive themes throughout the story, it is a solid drama, and it makes you feel a lot of different emotions. The art just invokes something in me. Like, it is a painting in and of itself.
It's
every
so
single panel.
So beautiful.
So I have a feeling we'll probably rate this one the same too.
Probably.
How disappointing for the listeners. Maybe I'll just say F just to stir up something.
Then I'll just go cry.
Ready?
Okay. 1, 2, 3,
S. There we go.
Okay.
And there you have it, folks. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So moving forward to our next story, it is prequel romance. This one is a solid story. I will say, I had to go back to look at this one because I could barely remember what it was about.
Really?
Yes. And so I think that this is one we might not have the same opinions of.
Yeah.
This one does start out as a story about Taejin. He is essentially just a super spoiled actor who gets everything he wants. He's just kind of an asshole, for lack of a better word. And he gets this new acting gig where he essentially has to play a warehouse worker. And so they send him to go and do basically method acting. He has to learn how to do the actual job so that he's better at acting out the role. And so he's basically assigned to this manager whose name's Ha-sung. And they basically grow in the process. Taejin obviously learns some new skills because he's able to work in the warehouse. And he's kind of offended by the fact that Ha-sung isn't impressed by him at all, which kind of makes the affection grow a little bit stronger. It is a really cute story. It's not one that I've gravitated back towards, but I did like it when I read it the first time.
Yeah, it is really cute. And this is another one where I think there's a ton of character growth for both of the main characters, which is my favorite thing to see in a story. I want to see people start off in a place where maybe they're not so happy or they're struggling with something, and then you get to see them really blossom as the story goes, and I just love that.
I know. I really do. All right, let's see what we thought.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
C.
B. Oh, we're close. Okay, why a C?
To me, it felt very average.
Yeah.
I do feel like I've read stories like this before, and it wasn't my favorite one of the genre.
That's
if that makes
fair.
sense. I did like it, but to me, it was one that I was like, okay, I read it, and I'm not probably going to go back. Nothing like gripped me.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason that I would say B over C is because of the growth of the characters. Like, I just really think, like, yes, Taejin, you see him go from, like, being a spoiled actor to, like, caring about other people. Like, not even just Ha-sung. He cares about the other workers, and, like, he has that growth. But then you also get to see Ha-sung, like, realize that what he wants matters. And I think that that's an arc that you don't get to see as often, because you see him, like, has just resigned himself to be this, like, factory worker, and his relationship with his boss is the one who tells him, like, you can go to school, you can do better for yourself if you want to, you don't have to stay at this factory and be a manager at a factory forever if you don't want to, and, like, really helps him to kind of push past this, like, closed off mentality of, like, I can't do anything else. And I really love that.
Fine, it's a B. It's a B, ya B.
Let me hop off my soapbox.
All right, what's the next series?
Okay, so the next one is Semantic Error. This is another one that just recently ended, and this is about Jae-young and Sangwoo. And basically, Sangwoo is they're both college students. Sangwoo and Jae-young are working on a class project together, and Jae-young misses the presentation. And
Did he miss it? It felt kind of purposeful.
It's still missing it, even if it's purposeful.
Okay.
So he misses the presentation, and Sangwoo kicks him off of the grade, basically, and says, like, he didn't do any work, he doesn't get this grade. And he ends up having to retake his final semester because of this. And so he starts to try and get under Sangwoo's skin, and just really wants to annoy him because he's just really pissed.
To be fair, Jae-young did work really hard to say, all I want is an apology. And Sangwoo was like,
No.
Too bad, I'm not sorry.
Yeah. Sangwoo is a character that I like, but also gets on my nerves a lot. And especially towards the end. It just recently ended. Again, this is one where it ends in a good place, but the conflict that they had was so long, it didn't feel like the resolution was, like, equal.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I will say, I do think that for an open-ended ending, I did like where things left off. Mm-hmm. I was really hoping for, like, at least an epilogue episode or two for this one.
Yeah.
Because I did really love the characters and their growth. I mean, Sangwoo went from, like, not understanding the social cues and things around him to, like, really just being able to apply his own feelings to things, which is just nothing he even ever really, like, regarded as important. I loved this story. And the last few episodes, because of just, like, the conflict, Sangwoo physically running away from his conflicts, actually. I was like, man, as a grown adult, I just can't relate.
And I said this in one of our previous episodes, too. They do it twice. They have that same exact plot twice. And, like, once, sure. The second time, I didn't want it the first time. I was just putting up with it.
It's true. Overall, this is, like, one that I started out loving. I love Jae-young as a character.
I love Jae-young.
And I really do think that Sangwoo showed a lot of growth. Mm-hmm. He just handles his fights childish.
Yeah, he does. And there was definitely a lot of times where I was screaming, just tell him how you feel, for both of the characters.
Yeah, I know. You're all about the communication.
And,
It's true.
And yeah, I don't know. So what? Let's see. What do you
All
think?
right.
1, 2, 3.
B.
A.
Oh. That was shocking.
I'm surprised. Okay, B.
B. I mean, it really lost me at the end.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I do love this story. And to be honest, like there are a lot of moments of this one that I go back to because it is like some of the romance moments in this one are just like beautiful.
They really are.
For lack of a better word. But the way that they handled their conflicts, I mean, like actually physically running away from issues and doing it multiple times. And I just agree. I think that the fact that there were several episodes in a row, I mean, I would say probably like 5 or 6, where it takes Song-woo figuring out his issues. And even then, he's not the one to like push the resolve through.
Yeah. Okay, B.
Yeah.
You've convinced me. Because I was on the fence with that one. And I adored it so much at the beginning that I think I gave it more.
I swear, this was S tier for me. And then at a certain point, I was just like, ooh, I'm just so...
We just kept getting more frustrated as the weeks went on.
I know. And I mean, it's so unfortunate. The art is beautiful. I still recommend people read this one.
Yeah.
It is great. And maybe if you're not reading it week over week and you're reading it as a completed series, you might have a different perspective on it. But when you're waiting week over week and you're just like, when is it going to be over and resolved? It does feel like it drags on some. But from the perspective that we're reading this on, I'm going to have to say B. So, moving forward, we will talk about one that I do truly enjoy. Secondo Piatto is next on the list. This is, for lack of a better word, a beautiful story. It is just beautiful.
It really is.
The story follows Hyunwook and Wonyoung. They are both brokenhearted because the people that they're in love with are getting married. And not only that, they're getting married to each other's loves. So essentially, Hyunwook is in love with his old female friend. Wonyoung is in love with his old college buddy. And essentially, the female friend and the college buddy are tying the knot. So Hyunwook sees Wonyoung crying at the wedding. Not something you usually see at a wedding, especially not in a sobbing manner. And Wonyoung is essentially like drinking himself after everybody's left this party.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh my gosh, I'm devastated. Why would you leave me? He's like blurry visioned. He's gone. And Hyunwook essentially takes care of him. And it's about how they essentially bond over the loss of a relationship together and grow a relationship of their own. There's so many other elements that happen. Wonyoung is also not great at standing up for himself. There are a lot of different things happening with his restaurant, etc., that Hyunwook kind of helps him through. Ultimately, it's just such a beautiful story. This one also has the conflict resolve, and you get several episodes afterwards where it just feels like it completes the series in a good point. Like there's an actual resolution, and you can see that everything is settled. And I love that. I hate having that like anxiety hang over me of like, but everything just ended. Is everything really going to be okay? And I think it just solidified like everything's okay. Here are all these different parts that we've touched on through the story. And it just like all came full circle and ended really well. I loved this one. I thought it was wonderful.
I agree. I don't think there's anything else I could say about it. This one was like right up there, top tier. So I guess we'll see let's see if we think anything different.
All right, ready?
1, 2, 3, S.
S for Secondo Piatto.
Yes, not surprised at all. That is one of our favorites. One that we saw ending, and actually I put as my most disappointing moment in a previous episode.
Just that it was over.
Just that it was over. Not even that I didn't like the ending, just that I couldn't read them from week to week.
I know. It's a huge loss to not be able to read week over week, but it's a completed series. You could read it all the way through.
I could read it again, and I probably will.
You probably will.
So the next one is The Demon Queen Has a Death Wish.
Oh, my heart.
I know you love this one. I like this one too. I think this one we might have differing opinions on.
We will definitely. You used the word like, so I can tell you right now we feel differently.
So the Demon Queen is tired of killing in the war of humans versus demons.
Yeah.
Humans have led the charge in this war against demons, and demons beat them.
Yeah,
obviously.
It was a stupid fight to pick, to be honest.
It was a stupid fight. And so now the Demon Queen is not leading her people against a war anymore. She's just kind of the head. She's bored, and she doesn't want to live. So she reads a tale where there is a sun warrior who kills the Demon Queen. And she is going to a village. She sees a man who looks like this sun warrior. And she basically kidnaps him.
I mean, no, in no uncertain terms, she literally kidnaps him.
And takes him back to her palace and says, like, I'm going to train you so that you can kill me. And he doesn't want to do this. He's like super excited to leave his village. He's like, yes, thank you for taking me on this journey.
He is the sweetest boy. I swear to goodness, the goodest golden retriever. Literally, she kidnaps him. She's like, I'm going to fly you out of here. And she's like, haha, he must be so scared. He's like, wow, I've never seen something so high. Thank you. And then she's like, here's some soup. And he's like, for me? You gave me food? Thank you. And then like he leaves the room and she's just like, oh my gosh, he's escaped. How dare he leave me? And he's literally just like in the garden picking her flowers.
Okay, so we know that you love this one.
I love it.
I like this one. This one took me a little while to read. I put it down for a little bit and then picked it back up.
It's
I
okay to
just
be wrong.
wasn't gripped.
It's okay to be wrong.
Okay, here we go.
I start crying.
1, 2, 3, B.
I couldn't even say it. I knew you wouldn't say it. I said S in
Yeah.
my head, but I said it to myself. So do we just go with A because it's the middle ground?
I think we have to.
Yeah, because I don't think I'm going to convince you S.
I don't think you're going to
You're
convince me.
definitely not going to convince me of a B.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, really.
All of the side characters were so great. They
Okay.
gave such good backgrounds to Cain and to Abel.
I do love the side characters. So, yeah, okay, we'll go middle ground and go A.
Yeah. Okay. Yay. I win.
No, really, neither of us won.
We win. Anyone who's read this story has already won. All right. So moving on forward to our next story, we are talking about The New Recruit. This is also one that we have talked about. So
Multiple times.
multiple times. It's almost like we enjoy this one. If you have not heard some of our previous episodes discussing it, a brief description is that this is a story of Seung-hyun, who is getting over his crush. He essentially liked somebody that he had gone to school with and like was kind of working in the field with. And now he's focused on his new job because he's an official professional. And he starts falling for his team leader instead. So, you know, working on projects late night together, etc. His boss and his team leader is not very kind usually to a lot of interns and new employees.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's taken a liking to him, which is a little shocking. But I think it's just a testament to how great of an employee Seung-hyun is. And the drive that they both have and the common interests, etc., I think just really make for a great, solid relationship.
Yeah, I love this one. This is my favorite office romance.
That's impressive because I think you're forgetting about No Moral.
Oh, I am. Okay, this is my favorite completed office romance.
We're getting to specifics now.
I give specific titles, participation trophies all around.
I will say, I liked it. It was very cute.
Yeah.
And I would read it again.
Yeah.
So let's just see.
1, 2, 3, A. Yes.
Fist pumping
We're
in the
back
air.
in the zone.
See, we got there. Okay.
Okay. So this next one is Shape of Sympathy.
You're just getting right to the point.
Yeah. This is a worse Secondo Piatto. It is
I'm
Secondo
sorry.
Piatto.
The notes that we took actually say Secondo Piatto, but 2,000 times worse. LOL.
You're right. That's the exact note.
That's what I wrote.
I didn't change it. I agree. Okay. Here's the thing. Shape of Sympathy really is, I mean, it's the same story. It's two people who are in love with two other people who are getting married.
Mm-hmm.
The difference is that they seek each other in comfort and don't help each other grow at all.
Actually, at the end, they almost seem worse.
They are worse than they were in the beginning. I liked this one at the beginning because this is another one where I really feel like the art matches the themes of the show and the characters. Like, no, that it wasn't a good, happy story, but it was a story that I felt compelled to read.
It was a good way to convey a tragic story.
It was a tragic story. And, like, I binged the beginning and made it, I mean, until I caught up with the series. I can't remember exactly when it was. But once it got to the epilogue, it just went even further downhill. I would have been happier if it had left off with them reuniting at the end and left it open to interpretation, because then I could at least pretend that they had some growth.
Yeah. I will say they had a glimmer of hope at certain points within this story.
Mm-hmm.
And I had started reading it specifically for you, mostly because you loved dramas. And it was something I never really dipped my toe into.
And I needed someone to talk to about this one.
I will say, yeah, it's not one that's like super talked about. So, I mean, definitely glad that we got to read this one together. At least we can trauma bond at this point.
Yeah.
But I will say there were multiple different elements of this story that just did not sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, the fact that the girl that Yuri is in love with is basically his sister.
Mm-hmm.
You heard me.
Yeah.
That's right. That is basically what the story is. Seonwoo has a relationship that is significantly more acceptable, which is him being in love with his old college friend.
Yeah.
And when the college friend and the sister are getting married, Yuri essentially like assaults Seonwoo.
Yeah.
This is not like consensual taking care of each other whatsoever. He's like beating him down. And I don't know, just the like possessive and abusive nature of Yuri as a character, it just like literally made me shudder at the thought of somebody being so horrible and manipulative.
Yeah. So I think we're going to feel the same about this one. 1, 2, 3, F.
Big old F. Just stamp it on in there. And I will say it is tragic. The art is pretty, and I do agree it does match the mood. It's just the mood was no growth.
Yeah.
And I just could not get behind it.
I think I could have gotten, I would feel differently about it if it hadn't gotten worse at the end.
I know the artist did a great job, but at the end I just could not support the story anymore.
Yeah.
I was like, why they can't get any better? Why they can't be better? Okay, moving forward to a story that I think we'll rate at least a little bit higher. Mm-hmm. At least we know it can't get worse. Is The Tainted Half. This is one that I believe we started reading, honestly, around a similar time.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a wonderful story. The art is just dripping with beauty. I love it. It is so elegant and just gorgeous.
Stunning.
Yeah. It's just kind of everything, honestly.
Yeah.
But the story is surrounded around Seolya. She is the only survivor of a clan of healers. They're known for their immaculate beauty. They're known for essentially just having these healing powers for themselves and for other people. And basically in lore, like, people have historically kind of taken advantage of this clan and like married into them just because they wanted to have children who would become healers and kind of become prolific themselves. But essentially the entire clan just kind of decides that it's safer for them to eradicate themselves. And they essentially make it so she is the only standing person from her clan. And her mom even puts a scar on her face so that people don't take advantage of her for her beauty.
Mm-hmm.
It is a very tragic story. And unfortunately, the scar on her face does not deter the emperor from taking her as one of his concubines. So he does take her as one of the concubines, but subjects her to horrible abuse.
Yeah.
Like both verbally and just like he does not give a crap what happens to her, etc. She lives in a really crappy place and, you know, he doesn't care if she has warmth for the winter, etc. But in comes Muon, who is the emperor's brother, and he is back from war, and he is simply taken with Celia. And they basically start a secret romance. They do, at a certain point, kind of get the emperor's consent for them to lay together, but it's mostly just because the emperor is saying he wants a child from this healer's clan, and he's so disgusted with how she looks, he can't do it himself. The story is very compelling. I love it. I think all of the characters are great. I do love that Muon, the male lead, is pretty morally gray. Mm-hmm. And I think they do a really good job of just like making you as the reader try to figure out who the real good guy here is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I loved this story.
I do too. I love this one. I think we'll have the same answer for this.
All right.
Okay.
Let's give it a go.
1, 2, 3, S.
We're back on a roll.
We are
I love
on a roll. Okay, so the next one is Talk to Me Tenderly. This one we also just recently talked about in our Leaving Soon. So this one is one that will be leaving Manta very soon, or may already be gone by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
Either way, it's about Gabriel, who has never had a relationship, and he suddenly finds himself with 3 potential suitors. And it's basically just about him navigating these relationships, and there's a very awkward introduction to him at the beginning that almost made me stop reading it, but I love this one. I love the main character. I love the main male lead, Luke. I know that you loved Ray at first, but I think you've come around to Luke.
Here's the thing. I actually love all of them.
Yeah.
Because they're all like their own person. Like even Angel, just for comic relief, is
I love
hysterical.
Angel. Yeah.
He literally is just there because he's like, drama is entertaining.
It's such a good group of characters.
Yeah.
And I love this one. I adore it. I think that it's just so cute and just a really good relationship. Also, it's got a good ending, and then it does have side stories that go into the like to the side stories of the main characters, but then also some of the secondary characters as well. And so I think it wraps up really nicely.
Yeah, there's some good closure once you kind of like wrap up everybody's story.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that for sure. I will say this is one that has had me laugh out loud several times. We know I love a good comedy that can just make me laugh. There are several moments where Gabriel just makes you cringe with like how... I don't even know what the word is. You're just embarrassed for him, honestly.
The secondhand embarrassment from this series
So real.
is so strong.
I will say, though, it is such a good one.
Yeah, it
and
really
I do
is.
highly recommend. So
1, 2, 3,
S.
A. Ooh. Okay.
I did love this one. I love a story when you don't really know right away who the actual male lead they'll end up with is. Mm-hmm. They did basically introduce you to 3 male suitors. And so I know, like, there's one that's kind of obvious will end up being the end one. But I did like all of the characters. I think they went into great detail of making them all have great depth.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful story.
Okay, so mine is kind of the same reason, but going in the opposite way of I don't always love having multiple options. I don't love a love triangle. But
well, technically it's a love square.
It's a love square, so you know what? Fine. S.
You convinced me. I do love it.
I was saying that I loved Angel and Ray too. It's just that I love Luke the most.
Yeah. Yeah, that's understandable. I mean, they're all lovable characters in their own way, so I can't blame you for that one. But moving forward, we will talk about The Woodsman and the Stag, which I just realized actually just before recording this episode is actually on Legion with a different name. Mm-hmm. And it's like newly releasing. So it's fairly early on in the series. If you haven't started on Manta and you want the more explicit version, because it probably is, then you can read it there as well.
Interesting that it has a completely different name. The other ones that we've seen on multiple platforms are usually like the same, right?
They're at least similar. And
Yeah.
this one was called Just Divine. Mm-hmm. So they are quite different.
Yeah.
But I think The Woodsman and the Stag sums it up pretty well. That is basically what it is. The story follows Chiangyan. He is the stag god. And while he's on Earth, he's actually injured in his deer form. And essentially, he's helpless. He's a deer who's injured. There's not much he can do. But he stumbles upon Muksan, who essentially saves him. He is immediately feeling indebted to this human. And as he's kind of watching from the heavens, he's like, I need that human. Mm-hmm. I know that he's great and I want him by my side. So against his own parents' wishes, he brings a human into the heaven realm with him. And he very quickly learns that a human does not fit in there.
Yeah.
Muksan is not the person that he wants or expected him to be. And so essentially it's about a god coming to terms with the fact that he's fallen in love with somebody who's kind of not so great.
Yeah. He got a very different idea of who Muksan was from him saving him. Mm-hmm. But that's not his only character trait. And he has to come to the face of he was just seeing as like a flat person basically. And now he's seeing like the full person. And it's not what he wants.
I think that it's just a great way to show that like these gods who are perfect have a hard time understanding the complexity of just human emotions and human nature in general. It was a really good story. I will say I loved the beginning and it lost me at the end.
I agree. This is one that it felt too short. The ending felt rushed and it didn't completely make sense to me.
I do wonder, and so I know that I just said it's releasing on Legion. This is one where I am curious if the end of the story would actually be better. Like if we had all the context, like maybe we're missing some steamy moments that might contribute to the character growth, etc. But from where we stand and from how we read it on Manta itself, it did feel rushed and it didn't feel like it came to a solid conclusion.
Yeah. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, D.
C.
Ooh, okay. I went with D, and again, I feel like C to me is like middle ground, like maybe a story that I liked but was kind of forgettable. And D is when I find like problems with the story, and to me, the problems with the story are just that it was rushed, it felt too short, and the ending really like didn't make a lot of sense to me, so it just felt like a D to me. It was a miss.
I will say I'll probably go down to a D. And the only reason I went to C is because I love Chiangyan as a character.
I do too.
The stag god is so wonderful. And the way he just believes so hard with all his heart in Muksan and tries to make him a better person. It's so sweet and endearing.
I wanted to like this one. And I think if it had been longer, I might have.
I know.
Liked it more.
But unfortunately, I think I'm here with you. I think we'll have to drop down to a D. And ultimately, like, if anybody does read it on Legion when it's called Just Divine, let us know if it's better than the Manta version and if there's stuff that was left out, because I am curious.
Yeah, definitely.
So keep us posted.
All right, we have one more on our list. Trophy Husband. This is one that we both love. It is about Duke Serena and Prince Rico. It's an isekai, and so Duke Serena, or Seiyan, is transported into a new world where she suddenly has a ton of strength. She got to this world because she was basically bargaining to save her friend's life. And so she ends up coming, and she doesn't have a heart. So she's trying to find her heart, and Prince Rico says that he will help her on this mission. And there is a ton of stuff beyond that. That's just like a brief description of the introduction, basically. It's got a ton of twists, and it is a phenomenal ending. I loved this one.
I physically cried several times in this story. And honest to goodness, the characters are so beautiful. The twist was absolutely shocking.
Mm-hmm.
I did not see it coming. And I know, like, I literally sat reading it at the kitchen table with my husband next to me. And he just goes, yeah, I mean, obviously it was a red herring. It was not obvious.
It was not obvious.
And I will tell you, like, this was one I looked forward to reading week over week. I know we did a breaking news announcement when they released 7 of them in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, when I saw they released 7 in a row, I was skeptical that they could close the story well. And I think everything ended perfectly.
Yeah.
Everyone was in a spot that I felt made sense. And the story was so beautiful and gripping. The characters were so good. And I love Rico.
We all love Rico.
Rico forever.
We all love Rico.
I will say the multiple comments of people being like, if you ever hurt my Rico, we're going to have some serious issues. I still stand by it.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
All right. This is going to be an easy one to end with. I can guarantee we're on the same page here.
All right.
All right. 1, 2, 3, S. A strong finish. Honestly, we agreed on pretty much everything, which kind of surprises me. I thought we might have a little bit more difference.
I thought so too. But to be honest, we read a lot of really good series. And I think the ones that we didn't really like very much, I think it was just because of some fundamental issues in general. So I do think it makes sense to be mostly aligned. I loved reading all of these series. Honest to goodness, a lot of these webcomics were some of the highlights of my year this year because they really were just such great stories. So I'm just really happy we were able to do this and like sit down and reminisce all of the really good stories these past 3 episodes, just to like sit down and relive a lot of those really fun webcomics we got to read.
Yeah, it's good to look and see what we liked so that now we can start putting our list together of what we might want to start reading next.
Yeah, so thank you so much for joining us all on this journey, especially through the year of 2023. And if you're interested in any of these webcomics, again, we will be posting some of the tier lists in picture form on our Instagram. So you can kind of look at where all of those titles ranked and decide for yourself whichever titles you're interested in reading for yourself. If you don't get to read them before 2023 ends, then go ahead and start your year in 2024 with some brand new titles because they're really worth it.
Definitely.
So, thank you so much for joining us on this journey, and we hope to talk to you on the next one.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.